Hello,
Ngapa.
welcome to Marvel Time issue number 76, our last issue of 2021. So before we kick off 2022 here, how was your Christmas?
It was quiet. How was yours?
Good, it was good. I'm happy to be home. I'll say that. um, I want to point out one of my very obviously I got a few Marvel themed gifts as my family and friends know me very well. So nice Marvel corksicle that you might see in some videos here and there. But we are going to be it's a little bit of a shorter episode this week because we don't have a ton to talk about. We didn't have for the first time in a little while a Marvel show or movie to break down. We do have comics, but we have 4 issues instead of our usual 5. So and not too much Marvel news, as you can guess. It wasn't a busy week in Marvel news, so not too much to talk about. But we are going to jump into our comics like we usually do, and we'll start off with the Amazing Spider-Man number 83. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so it's interesting because this is a Peter Parker story, basically.
Yeah.
And basically, he has spider sense, but what happens when what's inside him is trying to kill him?
Right.
His spider sense just won't stop. So it's a very much sort of great power comes with great responsibility issues, where it's like he realizes what he has to do and subject himself to certain things in order to do the right thing. And so, it doesn't, I wouldn't say it moves the Beyond story very far, but it does, it's one of those sort of, in a title where we haven't had a lot of Peter Parker, it was nice to have a little bit of Peter Parker back.
Yeah, it's exactly what I had. First note off the top of my head was just, it was nice to be with Peter again. And we had an issue previously that was focused on Peter Parker, but we talked about it then. It was more of like a one-shot kind of a feel to it. It felt almost like a Halloween special issue, which was a weird release thing timing-wise. But this one, I liked getting back with Peter, and it was nice seeing, he was being human and resisting doing the physical therapy and didn't really want to deal with all of it. So it was cool to see that different side of a character that we know so well for so long. It feels like these issues with his spider sense might be playing into something bigger in the future, and I'm very curious to see where they go with that, because obviously we have already the arc with Ben Reilly, and we'll see where that goes. But this seems like it might play things up a little bit differently. And it was nice to have a look inside Peter's mind and get that sort of that psychological sort of, almost reminded me of like Kraven's Last Hunt.
Right.
It's got some sort of like some vibes like that. So I really like this issue. But it was a tough week for this issue to stand up to everything else we had, because we had 3 big event issues to talk about, starting with the death of Doctor Strange number 4. And I still like the murder mystery element of this story, but felt to me, I mean, maybe you feel completely different, but I mean, we do kind of get the reveal in this issue, and it felt a little bit of a letdown to me. Like, I expected more of a twist in some way. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting, but this kind of didn't hit as big as I had hoped it did. What did you think?
I mean, I think I didn't have that big of a problem with the reveal because it was so much fun to get there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that.
when Bats is your Dr. Watson, like explaining how to solve the mystery, and then you get them together in a room like an Agatha Christie novel. Yeah. So it's just so much fun, and it's whenever they do these mystery death issues, I always presume it's going to be like, a C-list sort of, sidekick character. Because that way it's someone you don't expect. Baron Mordo was an obvious choice, but to have it be someone else is I think, and someone who's been in the background for so long.
Yeah.
That I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it you swayed me a little bit, but it could have been more disappointing based on who was in the room. I don't want to spoil anything, but
Yeah.
they could have gone a direction where you're like, okay, but they really haven't played much of a role in this story to this point. So it could have gone, less exciting. But I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I think just the way they built up this story, it felt like it was going to be something with more of a twist. But I do really still like this story a lot, and it leaves us with an interesting cliffhanger where there's almost these sort of two big things happening, and don't really know which one's going to get picked up where, or where all of this is going to go, and what it'll add up to. So I'm excited for the future of it for sure. And next, we have our two other. I mean, I guess you can call Death of Doctor Strange a crossover event, but the other two are definitely these big Marvel Comics events right now. The first is Devil's Reign. This is issue number 2. And I will throw this out there. This is my pick of the week.
I knew it was when I read it. I was like, oh, this is going to be Mac's pick of the week.
So I take it it's not yours then. So
it is not, but it was close.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I love the story, and I love the pacing of it. Sometimes these events start strong and end up kind of whimpering out. And some great stuff with Luke Cage in here. Mm-hmm. Tony, I mean, not people that when you think of Daredevil story with Kingpin, like some people that you don't expect. Doc Ock plays a huge role, which I can say because he's on the cover. But I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I'm excited. It just, we had so many sort of big comics this week. It's just like mine's already kind of blown.
Yeah, it was, like I said, a tough week to compare some of these because this was definitely a big Devil's Reign to me. I think of all the things on that list that they gave us, that timeline. This was one that I was definitely, it was close to the top of the list of what I was most excited for because it was one of those grounded stories that we always talk about so much. And I loved the first issue, and this actually upped the ante for me a little bit. I like that I totally agree. The pacing is great. It feels like it's building up constantly and never lets you take a breath. Like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. I really like that there's the political side to this story because that, again, grounds it in reality, lets you know how real people would be feeling about this sort of situation if this was happening in the real world. And then you also have these side stories brewing with Elektra and with Ben Reilly's Spider-Man, and it handles those very well, gives them enough time without letting them take over the story, and got me excited for the future tie-ins and things like that, where we'll see more of that play out. Also hits us with a great cliffhanger, so I'm really excited for what's coming next. That kind of explained a cover that confused me a while ago, and now I'm excited for that issue. So my skills of deduction here have allowed me to realize that this is your pick of the week, Timeless number 1.
Yep, my second favorite Jed McKay book of the week. Yeah, I mean, this is not. Marvel's done these kind of books where it's like kind of it tells a story, but it teases the future, and this one does it in a kind of easier to swallow way, where it's a Kang story, full stop. But there's one page kind of spread that teases what's going on in the Marvel universe in the next year or so, and then the ending teases something huge, which Marvel just tweeted out, so I think we can fairly talk about it. Miracle Man is somehow going to get involved in all the shenanigans. We just don't know in what way. So to me, Devil's Reign, I'm going to say, is probably the better book, but this is a better year-end book. Like Devil's Reign's kind of heavy, and we're looking forward, trying to move on from what may be a poor year for many people. And I must have spent like 10 minutes just looking at the splash page, just like, what's going on there? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely some great visuals in this. Probably my favorite art of the week, although Devil's Reign had some great ones as well. But Yeah, this was what was really interesting to me is this is a huge event issue, right? Like this is the launch of this timeless event. And it felt like, I mean, I don't know, 98% of it felt like it was a very self-contained story. Like this could have just been a one shot on its own. And then obviously we lead into some other crazy things. And I guess with time travel, that can always be the case because I don't want to get into the weeds of it because I will confuse myself. But yeah, it's really interesting. And I think this is one of those that I will like the series as a whole when I look back on it, as opposed to reading the first issue now. Maybe this would benefit too from, sort of a binge read, like when this hits Marvel Unlimited. But I'm definitely looking forward to what's coming next because I have no idea. Usually we get a lead in and we're like, okay, well, we kind of know this character is going to do this and this is their motive. Right now, I don't know. I know Kang likes to conquer stuff. That's about all I know right now. And really interested to see where they go with it.
And a fun take in Reed Richards in this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one of those wow moments where totally did not see that coming. And again, created some really awesome visuals and really cool concepts I had never thought of too. So definitely a lot of fun in this issue. All right. So normally we would, take a step back from the comics and we would bring in Becca and talk about Marvel must-haves and whatever show we have going on right now. We have none of that. We have no Marvel must-haves. We have no show. We have no Becca. So it's just going to be us now jumping from comics right into the news. And again, there wasn't a whole lot of it. Unfortunately, the first bit we want to talk about real quick is Marvel and comics fans in general mourn the passing of artist Ryan Bodenheim, who passed at just 44 years old. So that was very unfortunate. He recently worked on Al Ewing's The Immortal Hulk, Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther run, and the Death of Doctor Strange Avengers. So, I mean, some really, really great work. And, we're sorry to hear this news. Changing gears, we will we got some news of a
nice transition there, Mac.
There's no good way. There's no good way to do it. Especially bringing up a photo like this. But we saw Fandango released a survey about some of the movies that fans are most looking forward to in 2022, and no surprise, really. I mean, Marvel is all over the list. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is currently the top of the list. We also had Thor: Love and Thunder, which came in at number 4. Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the number 2 on the list, which that one did surprise me a little bit. I expected to see more, MCU topping the list there, but thought that was pretty interesting. What else did we get? Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was also the most anticipated animated / family film. Chris Hemsworth returning as Thor's most anticipated returning performance. You also have Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, and Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch on that list. Most anticipated new performance, which this got me excited about this all over again, which is Christian Bale portraying Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder. That was number 3 on the list. Issa Rae playing Jessica Drew in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse also made the list as well. So lots of exciting Marvel stuff to look forward to in 2022 in the way of movies, on top of comics and TV and everything else we've got going on. Does any of those names, as far as the performances go, any of those stand out to you? Anyone that you're most excited for?
I don't know. I'm just one long thing. It's like, it's not like it used to be where there'd be like that one movie that year you're excited about. It'd be like saying, are you excited for episode 6 of the upcoming series of The Simpsons? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm just excited for the next thing. I'm just, I don't feel like I need to rank Black Panther: Wakanda Forever compared to Thor: Love and Thunder. I mean, I know we all do it. It's all natural, but it's like, how am I supposed to compare those things? Yeah, they're all just exciting. I'm gonna see them.
Oh, of course,
yeah. I mean, honestly, probably the thing I'm most anticipated is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, just because it'll have been 5 months, whereas the other ones will become a little bit more in rapid succession. So
that's a good point. Yeah, and I mean, also to your point, it is just the next thing that we have on the schedule right now with a hard release date, at least. I will say I am really looking forward to Christian Bale as Gore. I can't wait to see that. That was one that I was excited for as soon as they announced it.
Don't get in his light.
That's
Santa Fe.
Which one has the worst? Who do you not want to get on the bad side of, Christian Bale or Gore? Which one's worse? But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Thor: Love and Thunder looks like it's awesome, as you can see in this picture here. So big year in 2022. We just don't know when it's going to start just yet. We also learned the next book in the line of the School of X line, The Siege of X4. And let me just read a quick synopsis for it hang on, let me give you a look at the cover here. In the Siege of X41, Omega level mutant Elixir must, your former draft pick there, Elixir.
Mm-hmm.
Omega level mutant Elixir must come to terms with his anti-mutant upbringing while fighting off vampiric mermen and a leviathan of ancient lore in this intense survival adventure. That sounds ridiculous, and I want to read it. You can bet things are going to get pretty crazy. I mean, we talk all the time about how the X comics get crazy. Give them a whole novel, and I'm sure this is going to be absolutely wild. And then we'll finish up here with a couple of interesting comics we learned about. First off, Giant Size X-Men Thunderbird #1. This will be coming April 27th. And this is the resurrection of Thunderbird, which is one of those characters that I wasn't following at the time of the death of this character. And it's just just dawning on me, where has he been? And there's reasons he hasn't been around. Yeah. What's interesting to me though, is they point out this is going to be following, the ramifications of Thunderbird's recent resurrection while setting him up for a bright future on Krakoa and beyond. So I'm very curious to see how this lines up with the future of Krakoa and how much of a future he has on that island before, I don't know, I assumed everything would be burned to the ground by this time, but who knows? We'll see. And finally, what we talked about a little bit on the end of last week's episode, we got a little bit of a tease for it first, and now we have some more information on Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War. I don't know if they mean for it to sound like the title of a Dr. Seuss book, but that's how I read it every time. I am very excited for this. It's Donny Cates taking both his Thor series and his recently started Hulk series and combining them here. Let me get the quick rundown of this here. In the aftermath of the opening arc of Hulk and the God of Hammers arc currently unfolding in Thor, both Bruce Banner and Thor Odinson have undergone massive changes, but one thing remains constant: their heated rivalry. When mysterious circumstances bring them into conflict once more, will the God of Thunder be able to triumph against a Bruce Banner who can now control his rage? I don't know that we've seen him fully control his rage right now. Seems like that's kind of, up in the air still, but I am definitely excited for this. I love the artwork already. The visuals of this are just going to be amazing. And obviously, you're dealing with two iconic characters in what's giving me some Civil War vibes here. So seems like this should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Donny Cates is nuts. So someone you love is going to die.
Let me give you a quick excerpt of his quote here. If I'm being honest, I'm sorry. I'm mostly known for writing very small, very quiet, intimate comics. So I had to, sorry, I couldn't keep that up. Yeah, this is going to be bonkers as hell, guys. We're going to break everything. So yeah, this is this is going to be wild for sure. It's going to be a fun series. So that's it. We've really got everything from the past week in Marvel. Like I said, it wasn't a whole lot, no show to talk about. Hopefully we have something sooner rather than later. Although I guess we will have an assembled in the near future to talk about. So we'll have a little bit more, but we do want to add a little new segment. Not that there's much to it, but we've been talking about Marvel Unlimited a lot lately. And I know, with Christmas passing, maybe a lot of people out there have some new Marvel Unlimited subscriptions that they're getting ready to use. So we wanted to recommend some of the things we've been reading on Marvel Unlimited. Do you have something, Ben, or do you want me to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the 2012 Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction and David Aja. It's a very accessible book. You don't have to have a lot of like Marvel history to really get it. If you like the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus, this isn't that story per se, but it's definitely got that tone and that look. Yeah. I think for those that have maybe been MCU fans who are taking this sort of breather and looking for a way to stay invested, it's a great sort of jumping on point. I wouldn't say jumping on because like it's self-contained. You can just enjoy it. There's not a lot of spinning in and spinning out, so you can just enjoy the run. It's I believe 22 issues, but you can take it in parts. But that's where I would start.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation. And if we had done this a week ago, probably what I would have recommended, considering that's what I was reading at the time. However, I am moved on to Strange Academy, currently on issue number 9. But they have 1 through 13 on there right now. I believe 14 we just talked about a couple of weeks ago, something like that. So yeah, Strange Academy is just so much fun. It's very, like you said with Hawkeye, this is very accessible. You don't need a ton. There's some things in there. You have an idea of who Doctor Strange is, who some of these teachers are, like Scarlet Witch, Magic. But you don't even need a whole lot of information on them. There's mostly new characters here, and it's just a lot of fun. It's very lighthearted. It's about, it's Marvel meets Harry Potter. It's about kids learning how to use their magical abilities, and it's really cool. And again, I would love to see this turn into a TV series somewhere down the line. So,
and it seems like this may play a big role in the Marvel universe moving forward.
Yeah, I mean,
something we read this week.
Yes, yeah, very possible. So I'm excited for that. So yeah, Strange Academy. Like I said, first 13 issues on Marvel Unlimited right now, so you can check that out. And that's an ongoing series as well. So maybe you get hooked and find yourself a Wednesday Warrior with us. All right. Anything else before we wrap up 2021?
No. If I had more time, I would have planned like a whole your top moment thing, but I don't. So
I will say the most recent episode of Zacks of Life, we drafted the top 2021 moments within Marvel movies and TV. Well, actually, not even just Marvel movies and TV. It spans everything, and that's just a little tease for one of the draft picks. But do you have something like any one pick that comes to mind?
I would say Venom 200.
Oh, okay. Nice. I like it. I like going outside the box there. I mean, Spider-Man.
I mean, there's so much great. I mean, there's so much great in the MCU that it's just sort of
right.
It's all great, and then at some point, I think we forget that this all comes from comics.
Right. Exactly. Then don't worry. We kept that in mind just a little bit, but you can check out that episode now, and then we will be back next week. We'll get back into a normal swing of comics as opposed to this shortened, but also very important week. It was a weird week for comics. Some big issues, but not many of them. So we'll get back into some normalcy next week as we kick off 2022. So thank you, everyone. Bye.